So I think we can all agree that the people who won at movies this year were Andrew Garfield, Timothy Chalamet, and Zendaya, and Brendan Fraser. I think we can agree on that, right? Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are going over my top movies of 2021, and I'm also going to be doing a few that were not my favorite. Now, we definitely had way more movies this year than last year because everything was postponed until this year. And because of that, there were still so many movies I did not get to see. I saw a ton, I think close to like 35 or 40 of them that came out, but there were still a lot that I didn't get to. So I will leave that down in the description below what I didn't get to watch. It sucks because, I feel like maybe they could have made the list. And so, is that the true list then? But I just kind of come to accept that I can't watch everything during the year. A lot of the notable ones that I didn't get to see yet that I was trying to were Nightmare Alley, The King's Man, The Last Duel, Lamb, Nobody, and In the Heights, as well as a few others. Starting off with my 5 least favorite of the year, I'm not going to say they were necessarily bad, but definitely not my favorite. The Little Things, a movie that tries to be like Seven, but just can't find really much to say. Old, which has an actually okay second half for Shyamalan, but the first half was pretty bad, acting-wise, technically, in everything. Justice League, the Snyder Cut, which is definitely better than Justice League, but it's not really saying a whole lot. I didn't quite get the hype, and I still thought it was a pretty CGI-filled mess, I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's really that great, but I was pretty excited by a few different cameos that came up, I will be honest. Luca, which isn't a bad movie, for Pixar, is definitely less than par for what they usually do. And what I personally think was the worst movie I saw this year, The Tomorrow War, because it had just way too many problems. It was not really that well acted by Chris Pratt. It just did not seem like that great of a movie. It was pretty off for the whole thing. Now, before I get into my actual list, I just want to go over some honorable mentions that almost made the cut. Gunpowder Milkshake, which was a surprisingly very fun, very original action movie that if you like things like Bad Times at El Royale or Suicide Squad or Kingsman, you're really going to love this one. Candyman, the reboot of the original from Nia DaCosta that has an incredible aesthetic, tonally is awesome, and I was really surprised by this one. I was really blown away how good it was. The Green Knight, which I so badly wanted to put on my top 10 list, but I just couldn't. But still, it was quite a treat to watch because the cinematography alone makes it such an epic movie. Last Night in Soho, which I also wanted to put on my top 10 considering it was my most anticipated of the year, but still, it was a very interesting movie, a great horror by Edgar Wright, and just had this whole tone to it that was very classy and very fun. Jungle Cruise, which is one of the 2 Disney live actions that came out this year, and both of them were very fun, but Jungle Cruise was very entertaining. I loved the chemistry between The Rock and Emily Blunt. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which was my second favorite Marvel movie to come out this year, and honestly was very original, very fun. I didn't have a lot of expectation for it, so I was really pleasantly surprised with what we got. And Ghostbusters Afterlife, which once again, like many of the movies on my list so far, did shock me. I, once again, didn't have a lot of expectation for it, and I really loved it. It was a great reboot, and I think did a very tasteful job. Okay, on to the actual list. At number 10, West Side Story. I have to put Spielberg on here. I can't not put Spielberg, but genuinely, I really did love this movie. The more I thought about it after, I loved it even more because the chemistry between the 2 main characters was so great. It felt like that movie you walk out and you go, I saw a film. It was made on film, like 35 millimeter, and it was like I said in my review, a very gritty, realistic look at the original West Side Story. The music, the choreography, the fact that it is this whole Broadway musical put on screen, I think Steven Spielberg did a wonderful job once again, and it's definitely one of my favorites. At number 9, Tick, Tick, Boom. I just have to say, coming out of 2021, I think Andrew Garfield is one of my favorite people of all time. Tick, Tick, Boom was a really great movie. I was really excited for it because every time that there's a musical that comes out that is especially about the artistic or creative process, I'm there. That's why I love La La Land and things like that. And I knew this was going to be sort of, not La La Land, but another one that was sort of like that. And the music was awesome. I loved Boho Days. It's definitely one of the catchiest tunes I will be listening to for the next year now.
This is the life of Bo 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 Bo. This is the life of Bo 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 Bo. This This is the life of Bohemia.
It was just, all the music was great, all the acting was great. I love Andrew Garfield, and now I have to see Rent because, shamefully, I will admit, I have not seen Rent. Sorry. I didn't get to do a review on Tick Tick Boom, but if you would like me to, let me know down in the comments below because I would love to talk more about that one. At number 8, Don't Look Up. I will actually be doing a review for this one. It will be, I think, the first review I do at the beginning of next year. I just watched it. I just got to catch up on it, and I have a lot of thoughts on this movie. It was very interesting. Adam McKay is incredible at satire, and while I didn't completely love his first two, The Big Short and Vice, this one entertained the crap out of me for very obvious reasons. I mean, very on-the-nose reasons, but it's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it with one of his famous outbursts, so that was absolutely entertaining. But the whole thing is just so ridiculous, and yet makes a lot of sense. I really love Don't Look Up. I definitely think you should check it out, and then watch my review when I make it for the beginning of next year. At number 7, Dune. While this isn't emotionally one of my favorites of the year, it is by far one of the best experiences, one of the most surreal experiences I had in the theater this year. Being in that IMAX theater with the sound and the giant screen for this movie was something I can never replicate, probably with any other movie, at least in the near future, because it just felt so epic and huge and weird and abstract and sci-fi, and it was long and it was a little bit dry at some points, but it was just something that you were sucked into this new world, and it tonally just was so different from any other sci-fi thing I'd seen, and I'm really excited for the next couple that they're going to put out, hopefully put out. At number 6, A Quiet Place Part 2. The original is definitely one of my favorite movies that has come out in the last couple of years. It became an instant favorite for me. I think it was actually my second favorite of 2018. And the follow-up I didn't really think needed to happen, but then after I saw it, I was like, okay, I get it. This was definitely planned. It was needed. I feel like I understand why they made it. And it had some awesome sequences once again. Cillian Murphy was amazing. Emily Blunt carries the movie, as well as the children, who they've really grown up in this one. And I loved that their relationship and their maturity was a part of that movie. Yeah, and there was definitely also a whole scene where I was holding my breath the entire time. It was so suspenseful. And once again, beautifully and simply directed by John Krasinski. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. And such a great experience having it be my first movie back in the theater in like an entire year. At number 5, No Time to Die. I had seen so much marketing for this, I was getting sick of it. I didn't really care by the time I saw it, but I gotta be honest, it was definitely one of the most emotional movies I had seen, and I was not even expecting that. I was expecting a really great closing out for this Daniel Craig James Bond series. I was expecting a lot of action, a really cool villain by Rami Malek, and the thing that got me the most was the emotion between the two main characters, James Bond and Madeline. Billie Eilish is No Time to Die as well. I mean, that's always going to be a favorite for mine, but the whole thing was like such this epic journey. That seems to be kind of a running theme of these, is they were all big, huge epics, but it really was. It was definitely one of my favorites from Bond so far. Number 4, The Suicide Squad. I would never have thought at the beginning of the year that this would be on my top 10, much less at number 4, but James Gunn behind the wheel did an amazing job once again. He basically made Guardians of the Galaxy for DC, and whatever your thoughts are on Suicide Squad, you need to see The Suicide Squad because it is so much fun, so shocking. It has the tonal grit of the first one, but also the lighthearted funniness of Guardians of the Galaxy put in here, and you actually care about the team a lot more. There's so many of them this time. It was absolutely hilarious and very entertaining. Definitely worth a watch, even if you didn't like the first one, which would make a lot of sense. Number 3, The Father. Now, this technically did not release in 2021, but it did come out in the US in 2021, so I'm putting it on here because I didn't get to see it until February. This is one of the most shocking movies I have ever seen. I did not expect it to be as abstract as it was and as emotional as it was. I thought it was just going to be some random drama and it was going to be kind of boring about a daughter and a father, okay? But the way it's edited and what it does to display to you what Alzheimer's and dementia is like for the person experiencing it. It's like the closest thing you'd ever be able to get to actually experiencing it for yourself without actually having it. I was blown away. It does not end on a happy note, but of course, no Oscar-worthy movies do they? So yeah, this was definitely. I mean, Anthony Hopkins absolutely deserved the Oscar, even though I wanted it to go to Chadwick Boseman. I couldn't say this was undeserving because oh my god, he acted his ass off. It might have been one of my favorite, if not my favorite role by him, because it was so emotional and really gave you new perspective. Number 2, Bo Burnham, Inside. Another one that I never would have expected putting on this list, much less this high. This isn't really technically a movie, but like I said in my review for it, I'm making it a movie because it is an hour and a half, and it's very emotional and very funny. The way he made it, you may as well treat it as a movie. I have been singing this album nonstop for like 6 months. You can ask my brother. He is incredibly annoyed at me for it. But I can't not sing it because these songs are amazing. Anything and everything and anything and everything and anything and everything. It perfectly encapsulated what it was like to be quarantined in a very sad way, but also in a very funny way. I was a little concerned for Bo at certain times, but it floored me, and it was hilarious. The colors that he had, just the way that he was able to make so much out of so little space and resources was amazing. And I really want to do a top 10 of my favorite Bo Burnham songs from Inside, because that's how many there are, and that's how many good ones there are. So look forward to that because I'm really excited to do that. Bo Burnham is a genius, and I think more people need to know about him. And of course, at number 1, the biggest movie to come out this year that had so many fans of the originals coming out and watching it, Tom and Jerry. I'm kidding. Spider-Man No Way Home. So obviously I can't say too much about this movie. I will be doing a spoiler discussion with Jared Samarco on his channel, Jared Talks Cinema, like I said in my spoiler-free review if you watch that. It's one of those movies that I'm like, no matter what it did or how it did, I can't not put it on at the top because it was such a surreal movie to watch. It did so many things correctly. I just, every time I want to talk about this movie, I can't, because I don't want to say anything that will mean anything or imply anything, or I don't want to say anything. I can't give you a whole lot of reason unless you've seen it. Then you obviously know all of the reasons that I want to put it on the top. It was unbelievably fun, entertaining. I was cheering my ass off. It was quite the movie experience I wanted, and I was very excited because I almost didn't get to see it. I had COVID, but I didn't, thank God. And yeah, so I was really glad I was able to see it because it was definitely one of the highlights of my year. So those are my top 10 movies of the year. Again, there's so many I didn't get to see. They might have made this list, I'm not sure, but you know, I'll do reviews for them next year because there's definitely a few Nightmare Alley and Don't Look Up and The King's Man that I want to do reviews for, and Tragedy of Macbeth as well. There's not a whole lot coming out in January, so I'll be able to do some catch-ups on those. So look forward to those. Look forward to the other rankings that I want to do. Like I said, the Bo Burnham songs. And let me know in the comments below what your favorite movies of the year were. I mean, there were a ton the more I think about it. A lot of indie movies, which is great because as much as I love Marvel, it's good to have some smaller original movies and get those people up there too. So let me know what your favorite movies were for the entire year. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the year and great New Year's Eve. Stay safe, and I will see you next year. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.